Our group is Prosecution and Judiciary. I'll introduce the panelists of my group. I myself, Rijumale Sinani, Law Officer of the Department, Government of Sindh. Mr. Sarfraz Kichi, Deputy Prosecutor General Office, Punjab. Madam Manwar Sultana, Faculty Member of Judicial Academy, Sindh. Mr. Mehboob Shah, Director Monitoring, Prosecution, Sindh. Rashida Abbas, Advocate. Munza Hashmi, Advocate. Madam Shiza, she is also advocate, and Mr. Ali Rizvi. Thank you very much, panelists. Our group was, consisting of the different people from the advocates, prosecution wing, and even judiciary. And by the deliberations, we have, framed the different recommendations. And I will request that if the recommendations are available with the computer, they may be displayed on the screen. Okay, I have the paper, I will read it out. The first recommendations that we have made here, so far it was the idea of the prosecution and judiciary as well, that the different laws are there, and the different things, same for the same offense, we have the three laws, the TIP, Trafficking in Persons, and Bonded Labor Act that are available in all the 4 provinces, and Prohibition of Employment of Children Act. Though the 3 laws, most of the same offenses, but the 3 laws are going on. That's why the first recommendation was there. The laws should be consolidated. They should be synchronized with the one offense there, so it will be, easy for the implementation by the authorities. The second thing that we have here framed a recommendation that there shall be the separate courts for the TIP, bonded labor and child labor there. So for the child labor is concerned, Prohibition of Employment of Children Act, especially so far Sindh is concerned, that we have established the separate court, that is labor courts are available in the provinces and they are dealing with the child labor. So far the bonded labor and the offenses on the trafficking of persons are concerned, they are going to be dealt by the first class magistrate. So the recommendation was that the separate courts should be established. So these the proper offense should be dealt by the separate judges, and that judges should be sensitized on the matter. And in this way, it will be easy for there, and whatever the purpose of the act is there, it can be got and resolved there. And the canons of the the judiciary group and the prosecution were towards the police yesterday in our group. The investigation is very weak, and investigation is not free from the political influence. And due to the political influence, the investigators are not to be properly appointed and not to be posted on their seats. And that is the way, that's why the proper prosecutions are not there, and outcome of the investigations is not proper. That's why the conviction ratio is 0 or the very less. So our recommendation is there that all the investigations, especially they should be separate from the political influence. In this regard, especially the Sindh has taken step. It has separated, the TIP, especially the separate IUs they have appointed for the TIP offenses, and they are being dealt and under the head of the DSP, and DSP has to report the SSP. So they have separated from the general policing. So TIP offenses are now taken are investigated in especially Sindh by the special prosecutors, by the special IUs that are separate for the TIP. The second recommendation was there, since the TIP, bonded labor and child labor, they are the special laws, and the general investigators, whatever the investigations are being carried out, they have the knowledge about the general laws, they don't have the knowledge about these laws. That's why there's a need of sensitization of even the prosecutors, investigations, officers, and even the judges as well on that point. Mr. Kevin yesterday pointed out and referred there, and it was that, the complaint of the prosecutors yesterday, whatever the challan are being submitted before the prosecutors, whatever they are recommending, whatever they are pointing out, the lacunas in the challan, though they send back to the police, but police don't rectify them. They are going to submitting the same challan with the same the loopholes or errors before the judges, and judges are accepting it. So they said there should be the law available, there should be the legal framework, and it should be the responsibility, as Mr. Kevin said, in America, if we put any sort of objection on the challan, it is the responsibility of the police have to rectify it. And the judge have to even see the assessment of the prosecutor as well, whether that the assessment is proper or not that. So here, our prosecutors was yesterday, they are of the view that at least what the assessment of the prosecution is being put on the challan, that should be considered by the police as well as by the judges. So for the rest of the recommendations, I will request the Shiza to continue it.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. I had to present a few more recommendations, but I've been asked to open the podium for the question and answers. So please, if you may have any questions, we are here to answer them. Okay, I have been given the little bracket to present two more. The police should be, again, the canon. You are our brothers and sisters. No blame games here. But because most of the times, investigation आप लोग पे depend कर रही होती है. So that is the reason here it goes for the police again. The police should be bound to improve investigation, to improve the conviction rate, which is a very fundamental thing, to get the conviction rate, the numbers basically. Basic human rights should be added as a subject in the curriculum at the metric level. So here, this is something very fundamental. We as a nation, or we as even a learned nation, we do not know our constitutional fundamental rights. So in that way, we'll be more enlightened that what is right and what is wrong, and what is we are to write for, and what is we are not to write for. So this was one of our recommendations. And the last recommendation, the awareness sessions, which SSDO is already in a very good capacity is doing. And as a civil society and as everyone, we should also do whatever is in our capacity to create awareness about this issue, because it's always confused between the human smuggling and the internal trafficking. So this will only be sorted out if we do that. So this was the last recommendation from our side, and now it is open for question and answers if you may have any. Sir.
My name is Javed Iqbal. I just want to ask about your first recommendation. Your first recommendation says the TIP Act needs revision. From yesterday's discussion, we come to know that the previous laws were revised and the TIP Act was established in 2018. Can you please describe the areas where this Act needs revision and what's the rationale behind that?
We didn't see the revision there. We see the consolidation of the laws there. We said that TIP, bonded labor and child labor, they should be brought on the one page and one law should be made there. There should not be the three laws for the same offense. So TIP is no doubt the TIP also dealing with the compact labor. TIL is also dealing with the child labor. And similarly, the Bonded Labor Act and even Prohibition of Employment Children Act, they are also dealing with the same offense. So they should be the one law. It should be synchronized on the one page. So in this way, it will be properly. It will be the easy for the prosecutors to, and even for the investigators to investigate properly.
My name is Zabullah Khan. I'm DIG Investigation in KP. First of all, I want to say that Pakistan probably is the only country in the world where the police evidence is not admissible in the court. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Second is that why every time investigators have been blamed for less conviction and not properly investigating the case. If there are 10 basic ingredients for a case to be put in court, and 8 or 9 of those are being met. What do you think? You go for 9 or 1? All the investigation officers are very professional, whether they are in FIA, whether they are in police, whether they are in any other law enforcing agency. We need to search our souls where the things are going wrong. It is not only investigation officers. The same responsibility lies with the prosecutors and the judiciary. My point is what the prosecutors and judges can do to improve the investigation by my investigation officers. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum ji. My name is Sarfraz Kichi. I am a Deputy Prosecutor General on behalf of the Prosecutor General Office. I am concerning that the standard of the investigation is not that high, which is the standard of the judiciary. The standard of the judiciary is very high, and the prosecution and the investigation is not comparing that standard. That is the reason that the rate of the conviction is not high, number one. And number two is that the collection of the evidence is only a duty of the investigation officer. Prosecutors are fighting a war with the weapons of not of themselves, but the weapons of the others. It is a collection of evidence which we are producing in the courts. If that standard is not matching the courts, the standard of the courts, then there's a reason that the conviction rate is very low. So we have to meet and match the standard of the judiciary to save the convictions in the TIP cases.
Madam, perhaps you could address this as well.
And the standard of the judiciary is we have to prove the case beyond the shadow of the doubt. And the beyond the shadow of doubt means without any confusion and without any doubt. And that is the reason that we are not achieving the goal of the TIP cases, which we should do.
ज़ेबुल्ला साहब ने पूछा कि being a police officer, he is the head of the police department, and being a head of the police officer, he is shifting his departmental burden upon the prosecution and the judiciary. The first thing is when the offense is committed, who reached at the crime scene? You police officers registered the case, lodged the FIR, then matter transferred to the investigation. The IO, the investigator officer, is the person who conducts the investigation about the commission of the offense. What is the duty of the investigating officer? The duty of the investigating officer is to dig out the truth, to unearth the facts. And when he calculated and completed his investigation on each and every aspect, then he submits challan before the prosecutor office. And the duty of the prosecutor office then started. जब तक इन्वेस्टिगेशन पर्पस है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रही है, 14 दिन की है, 10 दिन की है, 90 दिन की है, जितनी भी इसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन मिल रही है, द इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग ऑफिसर अंडर द ऑब्लिगेशन टू डिग आउट द ट्रूथ, हर उस एस्पेक्ट को देखे कि जहाँ से वो केस को प्रूफ करवा सकता हो, क्योंकि जितनी अच्छी इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगी ना ज़ेबुल्ला साहब, उतना ही अच्छा केस आपका स्टैंड करेगा. इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज द बेस ऑफ द एनी केस. अगर आप बुनियाद ही टूटी फूटी लूली लंगड़ी और टेढ़ी मेढ़ी बुनियादें रखेंगे तो उस पर आप बिल्डिंग कैसे इरेक्ट करेंगे, और अगर वो बिल्डिंग खड़ी भी होगी तो वो कोलैप्स कर जाएगी. ठीक है. द इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज द बेसिक डॉक्यूमेंट. जो चालान आता है वो आपका बेसिक डॉक्यूमेंट होता है. एंड द इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग ऑफिसर इज द पर्सन टू प्रूव द केस, नॉट बाय द प्रोसिक्यूशन, नॉट बाय द जज. आप इन्वेस्टिगेशन करते हैं, चालान सबमिट करते हैं फॉर स्क्रूटनी पर्पस बिफोर द प्रोसिक्यूटर, एंड द प्रोसिक्यूटर आफ्टर स्क्रूटनी ऑफ द चालान इफ फील कि इसमें सम लकूनास हैं, कुछ ऑब्जेक्शंस हैं, देन ही रिटर्न टू द चालान टू द आईओ के इसको करेक्ट करके लाओ. और उसने अपनी टूटी फूटी जो भी काम करने हैं, अपनी बर्डन जो है वो प्रोसिक्यूशन पर शिफ्ट करना होता है. आई एम सॉरी, इट इज अ कड़वा सच है ये.
मैडम,
बिटर ट्रुथ.
आई एम सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू बट वी आर रनिंग.
नहीं, यहाँ आपने, मैं यहाँ कल से एक चीज़ मुस्तकिल सुन रही हूँ कि दी जुडिशरी एंड द प्रोसिक्यूशन, जुडिशरी एंड द प्रोसिक्यूशन. आप लोग अल्टीमेटली जुडिशरी को मुलायन करते हैं. व्हाट इज़ द रोल ऑफ द जुडिशरी? जुडिशरी के पास आप उस इन्वेस्टिगेशन, देन प्रोसिक्यूशन, देन जब चालान वो सबमिट होता है बिफोर द कोर्ट, देन ट्रायल कमेंस. And when the trial commences, when the witnesses come in
Madam,
the
we have
witness
another round
box,
of questions,
then,
please.
then the court will feel on the basis of the record, on the basis of the evidence that the case is proved or not. Okay? So don't shift your burden upon the prosecution and the judiciary. Judiciary बिल्कुल last में आता है. Judiciary का role बिल्कुल last में आता है. Trial court का role बिल्कुल last में आता है.
Thank you, ma'am, for
ठीक है?
your remarks. And one last question. Anybody want to ask? Ji, sir. Please wait a minute. One last question.
Thank
Sir,
you
from
very
this
much.
side, he's done.
Thank you very much. These are the comprehensive recommendations. I just want to give you a small recommendation, one more recommendation, because we need to allocate more judges to hear these cases on the priority basis, because if you look at the judiciary, there are few judges available in the district, and they are overburdened with the number of cases. So we need to define the time frame so that the case can be decided earlier and the conviction can be made. Thank you.
Ji, Rashta, you want
We
to
have recommended for the separate courts.
Okay, Rashta wants to say something. Ji, Rashta.
Yeah, first thing, I agree that speedy trial should be there. We also discussed these things in recommendations, that there should be special courts where the weightage should be given to the relevant cases, and when there is special court, there will be, there are bright chances that the case is, closed sooner. And another thing I want to discuss, that in the previous question group, the question was asked that after investigation, the case is reached to the prosecution and judiciary. What is the ratio that the judiciary is playing the role? So here my answer is that by the time the lawyer prepares the case, the victims are approached by the powerful parties, and they compromise. And the role of a lawyer is almost finished there.
Okay, thank you. Ji, last question from their side. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you very much. I am Ghulam Sarwar Jamali, retired Inspector General of Police. I have a comment. My comment is that it's not the investigation to be blamed, it's not the prosecution to be blamed, it is not the courts to be blamed. Blame game should be over. The non-conviction of the cases is not due to single reason. There are hundreds of reasons. We can say that investigation is faulty in some cases. We can say prosecution is lazy in other cases. We can say there is a delay in the judicial process. The courts are having a lot of list, a big list. If you have hundreds of adjournments in a single case, how you will think that the case is going to be finalized and conviction is going to be achieved? Last but not the least is the society. We have so many external pressures like family pressures, biradari pressures, pressures from peers, pressure from political opponents, political favorites. They all influence the investigation process, they all influence the prosecution process, they all influence the judicial process as well. I can quote so many cases are not being heard and they are regularly on the list, but the list is such a big list. If you put 150 cases in a list, you can only hear 10 cases. Not
Okay,
more
sir.
than
Thank
that.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the... somebody wants to respond? Yes, sir, please.
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. In my opinion, the main issue is poverty. Because गुर्बत जो है वो हर चीज़ की जड़ है, और ये ट्रैफिकिंग का मेन इशू गुर्बत की वजह से है, और गुर्बत की वजह से ये सब चीज़ें हो रही हैं. लोग अपने ऑर्गन्स बेच रहे हैं, लोग अपने बच्चे बेच रहे हैं, ये सब चीज़ें हो रही हैं. तो सबसे पहले हमें उसको कंट्रोल करना चाहिए, उसके बाद ये सब चीज़ें खुद कंट्रोल होंगी. बेस को तो हिट करें आप, बाकी सब बराबर हैं. 50% इन्वेस्टिगेशन, 30% prosecution and 20% judiciary. We all are involved.